these days in Bollywood because the power shift has happened. He says that people who are not creative now have the power to decide, and this may be a communal thing also. Now, as expected, it has led to a huge outrage both within the industry and outside. Film folks like Javed Akhtar, Kangana Ranaut, the singer Shan, they've all come out and disagreed very strongly with what Rahman has said. They say there is simply no discrimination in Bollywood. It has always been about who has the most talent, who has the most merit, what the fans want, what the fans are willing to accept, and most importantly, what works at the box office. Now, after this outrage, after this huge storm, A.R. Rahman came out and clarified, saying that he never intended to insult India, that India will always be his mother, his home, it's the place which has built him and that he has learned the most from. Today, his daughters and his immediate family have also come out and defended what A.R. Rahman said. Was it wrong on Rahman's part to paint the entire Bollywood industry as being influenced by communal forces? He may well have a point that people who have the talent are not the ones who are the decision makers, but has that not always been the case? How different is this from what Kangana Ranaut said some months ago or some years ago when she came out and lashed out against nepotism in Bollywood? But is Rahman guilty of painting this in communal colors? All that and more we'll discuss through the course of this program. But first, I want to bring you up to speed with some reactions that have come in from the industry as well as from political parties, because it's very rare to hear someone who is very subdued and guarded and almost reticent, like A.R. Rahman is, to come out and make what is an absolutely political statement, the kind of which he has made in this interview to the BBC. Let's first listen in to these reactions.
India is my inspiration, my teacher and my home. I understand that intentions can sometimes be misunderstood. But my purpose has always been to uplift, honor and serve through music. I feel blessed to be Indian, which always allows freedom of expression and celebrates multicultural voices.
So as A.R. Rahman faces this backlash over his remarks on Bollywood that a power shift seems to have happened there, and maybe this is not overtly in his face. He says he doesn't necessarily face it in his face, but there is a communal undertone. But today, his daughter Khadija and fellow composer Kailash Menon both came out and stood firmly behind the music maestro. In fact, Malayalam composer Kailash Menon shared a strong note in Rahman's defense, calling out the tone and nature of criticism that was directed at the legendary musician. Soon after, Rahman's daughters Khadija and Rahima also reposted Kailash Menon's tweet saying, "Disagree, but don't disgrace A.R. Rahman." After all, he is one of the legends of the Indian music industry. In fact, the only one to have got an Oscar for India for the movie Slumdog Millionaire. So should we belittle him by giving a communal overtone to what he said? Was his intention to call out those without talent, studio producers, music companies, record labels deciding who gets to compose music or who does not, instead of looking at it primarily from a Hindu-Muslim communal prism? But again, let's listen into some more reactions.
हमारे भारत में कुछ सालों से नफरत की आग लगी हुई है। हिंदू और मुसलमान को डिवाइड किया जा रहा है इलेक्शन जीतने के लिए। अब बताइए क्या करें?
Rahman is an Indian citizen. He has, the constitution provides him the freedom of expression, and people, if don't like it, they should keep their mouth shut, or they can say we don't agree with him. But you cannot go hammer and tongs against A.R. Rahman. So if he makes such a statement, he has a right to make that statement, and as an Indian, he has got that freedom of expression.
देखिए, अगर ये बात सही है तो बहुत ही अफसोस की बात है कि भारत जैसे देश में अगर धर्म के आधार पर या जाति के आधार पर अगर किसी प्रकार का भेदभाव होता है, चाहे वो फिल्म जगत हो, दूसरा कोई जगत हो, तो ये बहुत ही दुखद है।
I want to go across for a full face-off on this. Kasturi Shankar, actor, is now joining us on this. Sumansi Rahman, political analyst, is also joining us. And Atikur Rahman, Islamic scholar, is also joining us. Kasturi Shankar, let me start with you. So, Rahman basically was saying, and perhaps the intention behind what he was saying, which he's clarified later, is that non-creative decision makers, whether it is studios, whether it is brand managers, whether it is record labels, they seem to have more influence over who gets work, and this could indirectly reflect a communal bias. He has acknowledged that he has not faced this discrimination, but he has heard this through Chinese whispers. Some are asking what's wrong with what he said.
First off, yeah, I totally, he's the Mozart of Madras, I have had the good fortune of working with him and knowing him for 30 plus years. I find it extremely surprising and disappointing that he used a certain way to express his intentions, because I speak this in reverse order. I'm taking his clarification first, and I don't know what the clarification was meant to clarify, because nobody ever questioned his patriotism or his Indianness or his love for India, or for that matter his love for Tamil as well, which he has gone on an Oscar stage and proclaimed to the world, if you will. So none of that is in question. The question is, why, after being a legend for 30 years, after being celebrated across South India, North India, across the world for a greater part of the last century as well as this one, why he feels that there may be persecution in the industry? What are these Chinese whispers that he talks about? Has it taken him 30 years to hear these Chinese whispers now? Or is it that the spare time that he has now, and again, I love the guy's music. I grew up with it. I went to the movies. I went to work with it. But it is a fact that times have moved on. And, as is wont to happen in any industry, there are newer players and legends remain legends. Today, Rahman still remains the top billed music director in India. He is the highest.
No, let me just say, let me just quote. No, one second. Well, let me just quote what he verbatim say what he has said, so that there is no need to sort of misinterpret it. One second. He says, maybe I didn't get to know all of this stuff. Maybe God concealed all this stuff. But for me, I don't ever feel that any of these past 8 years, maybe because the power shift has happened, people who are not creative now have the power to decide things, and this might have been a communal thing also, but not in my face. It comes to me as Chinese whispers that they booked you, but the music company went ahead and hired their 5 composers. Now, you can't say that, he's making a generalized statement against the industry or he's singling out individuals.
No, but there is a pointed insinuation there.
He's saying what he feels.
I'm sure everybody can say what they feel, but freedom of expression runs 2 ways, Zaka. Then, if you don't agree with Rahman, then how do you question the freedom of expression of people who tend to be more brutal, more raw, than mellowed? So, let's not get there. But I would say this. A pointed reference to the last 8 years is a clear insinuation of not just a power shift in the film industry. I think it does imply the power shift at the center.
He has not said that. He has talked only about the industry. But anyway, let me get Sumant Rahman also. Because maybe he's getting less work in the last 8 years. I don't know. Let's ask Sumant Rahman this. Sumant Rahman, so, what he has, and he subsequently clarified also, what he's saying is, and this is the prelude to his answer, he says that I was an outsider in the Hindi film industry. I had to learn Hindi. What he's getting at is that despite decades of iconic work, and no one can doubt, the body of work that he's had for the last 30 years, he is suggesting that there is a certain network, whether it's a linguistic network, a cultural network, a nepotistic network, if you will, which is trying to influence opportunities. Now, he has not named any political party. He has not used the word Hindu or Muslim or anything. All he has said is that I have not faced this directly, but I get this in the form of Chinese whispers that, look, they booked you, but the music company went ahead and hired 5 of their composers. Now, the point is, why is he suddenly being singled out and said, oh, he's communal, or he's, playing the victim card, he's playing the Muslim card, etc., etc.?
Zaka, as you very well know, the aphorism by which the movie industry sort of lives by is essentially what sells, what would potentially make money, what would essentially drive business in the industry, right? They are not in it for charity, they are not in it
Of
just
course.
to, So fundamentally, what happens? Every music director, and that includes the greatest of greats as well, has a particular lifespan, like it is for every actor. There are one or two exceptions which is for who can carry on for longer, but eventually trends change, people move on, and Rahman has been one of the greatest music composers of this country. There is no doubt about it. See, what saddens me is that he has received unconditional love and adoration from millions of people of all faiths in this country for the best part of 30 years. They did not see him ever as a Muslim music composer. They just saw him as Rahman coming up with
No, but Sumant,
unbelievable
he's
good
not
music.
questioning the people or the music lovers or the fans. He's questioning folks in the industry.
Look, why should okay, let me ask you the question. Here is, let us say, an opportunity of somebody creating a blockbuster using Rahman's music. Now, would that producer say, no, because of his religion, I won't take him. I will go and take some unknown music director and I will try to see what he can do? I mean, does it make sense? Tell me, would any sane person want to do that? See, I do understand that there are deep prejudices. Look, today, who are still the three biggest stars of this industry?
The Khans.
Shah Rukh, Salman, and Amir Khan.
Yeah.
Right?
No, that point I
mean,
agree. Yeah, I absolutely agree on that. Yeah.
My point is, if discrimination were to be there, should it not have started with the stars? And they have not had a problem. Even today, Shah Rukh Khan is the biggest star of Bollywood. So what are we talking about? To say, yes, Rahman's had a fabulous run and he is truly a genius and an all-time great of the music world. But everybody, Father Time catches up.
Okay.
And to
so
say that it's because
Rahman,
of my religion that I'm not getting offers is very sad.
This thing that, that there is communalism happening or there is a power shift that has happened. It is not overtly communal, but I hear it in Chinese whispers. It doesn't make sense in an industry where the biggest stars are Shah Rukh Khan, Salman Khan and Amir Khan. They are still delivering the biggest hits that we've seen in the last few years. So this whole thing, in fact, Shobha Dey has labeled this, that the suggestion that Rahman has made that Bollywood has become communal. She has said this is dangerous, that that such an argument is being made. At the end of the day, it's talent and not religion that has traditionally dictated what Bollywood chooses and what it does not. She has said that the Hindi film industry has always remained secular and merit-based, and no more evidence of it than the fact that the biggest stars all happen to be Muslim.
Saka, just 2 or 3 quick points. Number one is, our debating this particular aspect of A.R. Rahman, echoing what his heart means, is the fact that we have become uncreative and communal too. Second, I have for the first time realized in the past 2-3 days that my freedom of speech and expression is conditional. If people adore me, if I am a star, if 20, 30, 40 years I have given to an industry something and people have admired that, I have no, right to speak what I think today my India is. The perception that can change. He also pointed out that uncreative people are roaming around in the industry. We are not debating that. He also pointed out that he said Chhawa was having a communal overtone. We are not debating that. He gave music to Chhawa. But still, what I really mean to say is freedom of speech and expression,
No. It's not conditional, but Atikur Rahman, Mr. A.R. Rahman is a legend. He has every right to speak his mind, but that doesn't mean the rest of the industry cannot disagree with him. For example, Javed Akhtar, who I think is one of the greatest lyricists this industry has seen, has come out and disagreed with A.R. Rahman. He has said, and I quote, "I have never felt this way. I meet people here in Mumbai. They have great respect for Rahman. People may think that he's become very busy in the West. They may think that his shows are very big. He spends a lot of time in the shows in the West. So he may not be available for us. So they can disagree. Mr. Javed Akhtar has disagreed. He doesn't think that this idea that A.R. Rahman has said that there is some kind of communalization in the industry and therefore he's not getting work, if that's the interpretation of what he has said. Javed Akhtar has disagreed with it. What's wrong with that?
Mr. Javed Akhtar leaving Salman Khan alone, Amir Khan, Shah Rukh Khan, is it not a fact that every time they have been attacked by the right wingers, they have been attacked by the right wingers for their acts, for their sayings, what they believe, they were under attack. So it is not that because you admire the people have given you love and affection, the stars are losing their character. No, you have the right to criticize. If a person is making a bad film, I will say it's a bad film. If a politician is politically wrong, I will say it is politically wrong.
No, in the same way, you're reiterating my point, sir. In the same way, people have a right to say that they disagree with Mr. Rahman. That doesn't mean that they dislike his music, or that doesn't mean that they are, being disgraceful to him. They're just disagreeing with his point of view. Anyway.
A quick point, please.
Quickly.
If I disagree with A.R. Rahman, as my other two panelists are saying, you explain to him that India is not communal. India is
So respond to that, Kasturi Shankar. He is saying the onus is on you and Sumant to prove Mr. Rahman wrong, that the industry has not become communal or the country has not become communal. I don't think Rahman was talking about the country. He was talking about the industry. Anyway.
Yeah, I think number one, we cannot, disprove things that aren't there. If there is something, then you can prove that, you can give evidence of something that is present. But you can never prove that something is absent, because that just ends up being an allegation that you keep denying. So, everybody has a point of view and you cannot keep answering everybody. Now, this is not everybody. This is A.R. Rahman. And when Mr. A.R. Rahman goes and talks to a Harun Rashid for BBC, that is a big deal. So I think he should have measured his words. These Chinese whispers that he talks of, has he discussed it with his friends and mentors in the industry? Has he discussed it with his colleagues? He scored for a Shah Rukh Khan movie with Atli at the Hem last year. Mani Ratnam continues to stay by him. He's scoring for Ramayana. So I understand that he says it's not in his face, but he has heard it. But when he has heard it, where does he choose to reveal what he has heard? What was the necessity to do that? If a journalist is asking you a leading question, I would expect somebody like Mr. Rahman to hold up the harmony that exists in the industry, which is true. The communalism is a Chinese whisper, but the harmony is what he has experienced, right? He should be holding that up. I just have one thing to say. In the 2019 Grand Slam, I believe Serena and Naomi Osaka were in the finals and Serena Williams was losing. She had a fit. She accused the referee of being racist against, being racist in a very black way. Unfortunately for her, the other side was Naomi Osaka, who was even more diverse.
So what is your point? That Rahman is using this as an excuse because he's not getting work?
I think it comes to that. I think he is unable to process the whys and I think that's what it is. I think
but work has been coming to him. Chava was one of the biggest hits of 2025. He was the music director for Chava. Amar Singh Chamkila was one of the biggest hits of 2024. He was the music director of Amar Singh Chamkila.
He dissed the movie Chava in the same interview. He dissed it. He called it divisive. We know of many
which again. One second. He's a music director. His job is to compose music for the film, which he did.
He's been very selective about the projects he takes.
Which is fair enough. I mean, it's his choice, right? Why should anybody else dictate what his choices are?
Why would he comment on it? Why would he comment on it after he has scored the movie? He should have said, "I am the music director, and I've done the music."
So, for example, Sumant Raman, Kangana Ranaut says that she had wanted him to compose the music for her movie Emergency. And he refused, saying that it's a communal movie. Now, it's up to him what work he chooses to do or not choose to do.
Absolutely. Zaka, I think we are confusing two issues here. The point Mr. Atikur Rahman made regarding India becoming more communal than what it was before, I think that there is some element of truth in that in the last decade. There are more tensions. Probably a lot of it is also because of
No, but
social
Rahman is
media.
not referred to
But
that. A.R.
one
Rahman has not
second.
referred to
No,
the
that's what
country
I'm saying.
becoming communal.
That's
He's
what
not
I'm
said
saying.
that.
That's what I'm saying. So I think we are confusing. Mr. Atikur Rahman is confusing the issue here. This is not a debate about whether India has become more communal or not. The point is, Mr. Rahman continues to get work. He continues to get work from the biggest names in the industry, and he continues to get work even outside India. Now, I do not know what prompted him immediately to say this, but the point is, it makes people extremely sad because I think a lot of people who had responded to my post on this issue, Zaka, had drawn the parallel with Mohammad Azharuddin. You know, after the alleged match fixing scandal broke, you know, he pulled out the communal card, and
No,
Azhar
no,
was
one second.
adored.
No,
I
no,
mean,
no,
he was a
one second.
favorite
No, no,
for.
I don't think that's a fair analogy. I mean, he was
Why
accused of a
isn't
no, no, he was accused of a crime. Nobody's accusing
Zaka,
A.R. Rahman of a
nobody is
crime.
accusing
Come
that
on.
even
No,
worse.
no, it's not the same
blamed
thing.
that on his
Accused him.
community.
No, no,
He
it's not the
blamed
same
it on a
thing.
No,
No, no,
community.
it's
my
not the
point
same thing
is,
at all.
Zaka,
It's
my
completely
point-
apples
no,
and
no,
oranges. Yeah.
Zaka, one second. The reason I'm saying is at least Azhar pulled out the card when he was accused of a crime. Here, this man has not even been accused of anything.
No,
Right?
no. What,
So,
pulled
to
out what
bail
card,
himself-
Suman? No, no. I'm trying to pulled out what card? He has said that he feels that certain non-creative people are dictating terms in the industry. Now he says it
No, no,
could
no.
be no, it could be there could be a communal overtone to it. I have not felt it on my face, but I hear it as Chinese whispers. Now this is his point of view about his own industry.
He is entitled to it. He's entitled to it.
That's
look,
all he has said. Why has
is
that
not
become
the
a
point.
card? Why are you saying he's pulling out a card? He's not pulling out any card. What
he
card is he pulling out?
He is.
What
Because
card?
if
What card is
says-
he pulling out?
It's a communal card. I'm not getting work because of my religion. That is
But
essentially
some
what
of the
he is
biggest
trying
hits
to
in
say.
the last few years have been his.
Arey yaar,
Exactly.
he is
So
saying
That's
it,
why
Zaka.
what does
everybody
it mean?
is
He's
right.
not getting work. He is getting work.
He is getting
That's the
work,
point.
but somebody has to tell him that. Somebody has, maybe he feels that the pace of work which
He
he's getting
feels
has dropped.
persecuted.
No,
We don't know.
No. Hang on. No. I think we're again confusing issues. He is basically opined about what he feels is a certain shift that has happened in his industry. Again, he's saying
Which could be communal.
He has used the word communal, no doubt about it.
That's the point.
He has
That's
used
the
the word communal, but he has not in any form or fashion linked that to his own success or work or lack of work. He has simply said that this has happened in the industry. Now, you can disagree with him, saying that no, that's not the case, as Javed Akhtar has, or as Kangana Ranaut has, or as somebody else has. But to say that he's pulling out a victim card, he's pulling out a Muslim card because he's not getting work, that's not true. That is materially not true. Anyway,
But that's how he made it sound.
What is, that is how it sounds.
Atikur Rahman, I'll give you the final word. I got to wrap up in a minute. At the end of the day, Mr. Atikur Rahman, Mr. A.R. Rahman is a legend. Not just an Indian legend, he's probably a legend of the world, legend of the music world for sure.
Absolutely.
Should he not have been more careful in the words he chose and the manner in which he characterized? Perhaps a leading question was asked to him by that journalist. But surely, Mr. Rahman, who's a veteran of the last 30, 40 years, has given numerous interviews, should have known how his answers may be construed or misconstrued, as is being done throughout the country and throughout primetime debates right now.
Mr. A.R. Rahman being a legend makes all the more reason for us to take him seriously. And Mr. Suman, I am not paralleling what A.R. Rahman said about the film industry and what is going on in the country in the last 10, 12 years. This is the media channels who are asking us the questions, posing as if this is a threat to our democracy, and he's pinpointing the Modi government. I am not drawing a parallel. Third important factor is, Zaka, that he has said, I pointed out earlier, that uncreative people are hampering his job. That is what I perceive what he means to say. And is it a fact that uncreative people have entered the industry because of the propaganda movies we are looking into it?
Okay.
As the only person from the movie industry, Zaka, as the only person from the movie industry in this debate, I have to disagree strongly with Mr. Rahman. I don't think as an outsider you have any idea of how this industry is run. We have a mixture of business and art in this industry, and that's the way it has always been.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much for joining us, Kasturi, Sumant, and Atikur Rahman for joining us. We'll see how this plays out, whether there is further fuel to this storm or will it actually end now with Mr. Rahman's clarification. We're getting some breaking news, and talking about storms, US President Donald Trump has said that he no longer feels obligated to think of only peace after he did not receive the Nobel Peace Prize. And once again, he's repeated his demand for control of Greenland, total and complete control of Greenland. That's what he wants. In a message to Norway's Prime Minister, Trump has blamed Norway for not giving him the prize, even though the government of Norway has nothing to do with the Peace Prize. It's a separate Peace Prize committee that decides that. The US President is, in fact, said to have told the Norwegian Prime Minister in that letter, and I quote, "Considering that your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8 wars, plus I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace, although that will always be predominant, the message leaves little room for diplomatic ambiguity." Trump has linked his aggressive posture on Greenland directly to his personal grievance of being denied the Nobel Peace Prize 2025, despite the fact that the Norwegian government has nothing to do with the award of the prize. The prize is decided by the Norwegian Peace Committee, which has nothing to do with the Norwegian government. But it gives you an insight into what Trump is thinking, because all through the weekend, the entire world, and particularly Europe, mainland Europe, has been completely awed and shocked by what Trump has said and done. He has threatened to impose 10% extra tariffs on as many as 8 European countries, including some of the Nordic countries and Britain, France, and Germany, for sending troops to Greenland. This has sent Europe into panic and into meltdown. There is, in fact, going to be a meeting of European leaders later this week, right after the Davos summit. In fact, some folks also plan to meet Trump and confront him at Davos later this week. Trump is going to be there at Davos, as well as, of course, other European leaders. Make no mistake, if Trump makes good on these threats, this will be the single biggest challenge to the transatlantic alliance, which is NATO, perhaps even bigger than Russia's invasion of Ukraine. So what happens next as Trump unabashedly covets Greenland? US President Donald Trump announced in a social media post on Saturday his latest strategy to get control of Greenland. He's now slapping new tariffs on a block of European countries until they come to the negotiating table to sell Greenland. Greenland is a territory of Denmark which will be hit with a 10% tariff on all goods traded with the United States beginning the 1st of February. So the countries that have been tariffed include Norway, Sweden, France, Germany, Britain, the Netherlands, and Finland, all of whom have to pay an additional 10% tariff starting the 1st of February. And if they do not comply, then the tariff increases to 25% from the 1st of June. This is until such time that a deal is reached for the complete and total purchase of Greenland.
I would like to make a deal, the easy way, but if we don't do it the easy way, we're going to do it the hard way.
The leaders of Europe reacted with unified outrage to Trump's latest coercions on the massive island in the North Atlantic. And the abrupt announcement of these new tariffs seemed to throw a trade deal that Trump had struck with the European Union into serious doubt.
First, because it would in some way legitimize Putin's invasion and his unilateral action and questioning of Ukraine's territorial integrity.
Y dos, ¿por qué?
And second, because I very much fear that if such an invasion of Greenland by the United States were to occur,
De Groenlandia por parte de esta.
it would spell the death certificate of NATO.
We also decided to continue working on it and see if we can find a solution that leads to President Donald Trump abandoning the idea of owning Greenland.
Få præsidenten til at opgive tanken om, at jeg er nødt til at eje Grønland.
That secures Greenland's sovereignty, the Danish kingdom's territorial integrity, while at the same time accommodates reasonable US expectations and requests.
Trump has argued that the United States needs to control Greenland as a bulwark against Chinese and Russian ambitions in the Arctic, although the United States already has the right to expand its military presence in Greenland under a 1951 agreement with Denmark.
We are going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not, because if we don't do it, Russia or China will take over Greenland, and we're not going to have Russia or China as a neighbor. If you take a look outside of Greenland right now, there are Russian destroyers, there are Chinese destroyers and bigger, there are Russian submarines all over the place. We're not going to have Russia or China occupy Greenland, and that's what they're going to do if we don't.
The United States currently charges a 10% tariff on British imports and 15% tariff on imports from the European Union, after striking limited trade deals with both governments last year. But now, the new tariffs of 10% would be imposed on top of that, and it remains to be seen how other trading partners would respond. Tariffs are not paid by the importers, not by the country of origin, but the costs are often passed on to American consumers. The US Supreme Court is also scheduled to deliver a verdict on the legality of these tariffs, possibly within the next few days. Last week, a delegation from Denmark and Greenland came to Washington to meet with officials from the Trump administration, including Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio. But little was achieved, as both sides did not make any firm commitments. Several European countries, including France, had sent troops to Greenland to take part in military exercises along Danish forces last week. And that seemed to have cheesed off Trump. And that is what has elicited this 10% additional tariff response from Trump. But Europe has been fuming ever since. French President Emmanuel Macron wrote on social media, "No intimidation or threat will influence us, neither in Ukraine nor in Greenland." The Swedish and Danish prime ministers responded furiously, saying that this was Trump issuing open blackmail to European partners. They said firmly that only Denmark and Greenland can decide the fate of the island.
Dit is niet hoe bondgenoten met elkaar omgaan en in die zin snap ik de woorden van chantage. Ja, absoluut. We hebben tot 1 februari de tijd om echt een gezamenlijke geluid te laten horen dat wij dit niet acceptabel vinden. We hebben ook gezegd dat de territoriale integriteit en de zelfbeschikking van Groenland en Denemarken wat ons betreft niet ter discussie staat. Maar wij vinden ook dat deze inzet van handelstarieven ongepast is en bovendien ook onnodig. Dus dat zal onze boodschap zijn.
Dus u gaat uw tanden laten zien?
Zeker.
On Sunday, members of the 27 European countries met in Brussels to take stock of the situation. The sense seems to be that Europe will try to still negotiate with Trump, but if that fails, they will not hesitate to slap retaliatory tariffs worth over $100 billion on American exports into Europe. The Prime Minister of Britain, the Prime Minister of Italy, and the Secretary General of NATO, all of them held phone calls with Trump and urged him not to escalate the situation. They say that slapping tariffs on allies would break the 75-year-old NATO alliance. On the ground in Greenland, residents there have made it clear that the Americans were not welcome. Slogans and shouting of "Yankee, go home" were heard loudly and clearly amongst the 50,000-odd residents who live in this island. As per a 2004 amendment to that original treaty which governs Greenland's affairs, Greenlanders have the option of having a referendum on who they want to go with, whether they want to go with America or with Denmark. And as per the latest surveys, more than 85% residents say they don't want to go with America.
I think he has lost his mind. I hope that there soon will be some more clever people in the States who will tell him, no, it's not going to work, this thing.
Greenland came under Denmark's control through a gradual process, solidifying its status after the 1814 Treaty of Kiel, which separated Norway from Denmark. Denmark retained Greenland as Danish territory, controlling its defense and foreign affairs and sovereignty. As early as 1867, the then US Secretary of State, William Seward, had proposed purchasing Greenland, but Denmark officially refused. Following World War II, the Harry S. Truman administration had proposed purchasing Greenland for $100 million in gold. Again, Denmark refused. Greenland's colonial status officially ended when it was integrated as a country into the Kingdom of Denmark in 1953. Prior to that, in 1951, Denmark and America signed a military agreement which allowed America to establish dozens of military bases on Greenland. But over the years, America has shut most of its military bases, except one, the Pituffik Space Station. Trump says he wants to keep Greenland, to keep an eye on Arctic shipping lanes, and to stop China and Russia from taking over these islands. Well, that's not the only story concerning US President Donald Trump. He's now sent invitations to most world leaders asking them to join his board of peace in Gaza. This was the next step after the ceasefire in the war between Israel and Hamas. Trump, of course, will be the chairman of the board. Other members include his Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, Steve Witkoff, his special envoy, his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, who also played a role in that ceasefire between Hamas and Israel, and former British Prime Minister Tony Blair. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has also been invited to join the board of peace, along with Pakistan Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif. But a seat in the board of peace does not come cheap. It's got a pretty steep price tag at $1 billion US. So the question is, should India be part of this board of peace, or is this, seemingly on the face of it, yet another Trump vanity project? Now, India faces this strategic choice. Should it join the International Board of Peace for the reconstruction of Gaza, or should it stay out? Trump's Gaza board is positioned as an alternative multilateral forum, one where decisions could move faster than the United Nations. India has had its own sort of peeve with the UN and how slow and unreformic the UN body has become. India's presence in the Board of Peace would ensure that it has a seat at the table that is shaping the post-war outcome in Gaza. Critics, on the other hand, say that this looks like yet another Donald Trump vanity project, which is built around personal diplomacy rather than institutional legitimacy. Participation could help out some creases in the tariff and trade negotiations with the US. Remember, India and the US are yet to resolve their trade differences and arrive at a trade agreement. This is at a time when India has been pushing for further market access as well as supply chain stability. But Prime Minister Modi importantly skipped the Gaza peace ceremony that happened in October 2025 in Egypt. That was a move that was widely read as India's reticence or reluctance to be seen endorsing any kind of parallel peace process. And here's the most important consideration as far as India is concerned, which is the third and most important factor, the Pakistan factor. Pakistan, too, has been given an invitation to join this proposed Gaza board. If India stays out, it risks conceding diplomatic space to Pakistan. It allows Islamabad greater visibility and influence on the geopolitical stage on a sensitive issue such as the future of Gaza. But the $1 billion price tag that ultimately has to come from the taxpayer, is that money worth it? Using taxpayer money for an informal, non-UN framework may also raise serious questions about propriety, accountability, and priorities. I want to go across to Ms. Bridget Gabriel. She's the founder of Act for America and an author, and also it's a leading advocacy group that opposes Islamic extremism. I want to start off, thank you very much, first of all, for joining us here on News 18. I want to start off by asking you about this idea for the Board of Peace for Gaza that President Trump has floated. He has invited a whole host of world leaders, including India's Prime Minister. What is the case for joining that Board of Peace?
What President Trump is trying to do is bring the global body together to participate in a solution for the Palestinian problem. The Palestinian problem has affected and impacted pretty much most countries in the world. We have seen the riots break out all over Western countries. We have seen the ramification in the Arabic world, in the Middle East, in Africa. So by bringing the world body together, it removes the image of America is controlling everything and Israel is controlling everything. And it puts the Arab world as well as the Palestinians at ease to know that this is a global project by the global community to ensure the safety and security and prosperity of the Palestinian people so they can have a chance to basically live in peace, educate their children, avoid the killing generation after generation, and it gives the world global body the pride of being able to come together and through teamwork coming up with a solution that truly actually impact peace and brings peace to the Middle East.
But Ms. Gabriel, as far as India is concerned, there is a touchy issue, which is that President Trump has also invited the Prime Minister of Pakistan. And India and Pakistan, have had a long-running arch rivalry, including early last year. There was this 4-day war that happened. That in itself has been a point of contention between India and the US. President Trump claims credit for the ceasefire. India is unwilling to give him credit. So this is a touchy topic here in India. What would your case be for why India should overlook the Pakistan factor and still end up joining this board of peace? And how do you justify $1 billion price tag for it?
India has become a very respectable leader in the world body with their contribution in every area, from technology to business. The presence of India is very important. India also is establishing its name on the world stage as a global player. India cannot sit this out. By India investing in the rebuilding of Gaza, India is investing in its prominent position among world leaders, including all Western great countries, where India has its rightful place to sit in such a high position in the global body. This is why India needs to invest in this project and join the global body.
What would your argument be to those who say the reason why there is no peace in Gaza is because Israel continues to violate the ceasefire and continues to kill people, and its grand plan, at least if you were to believe some of the more extreme coalition members of Prime Minister Netanyahu's government, is to drive out every single Gazan out of that territory? And that is simply unrealistic, if not immoral.
Well, Israel in 2005 withdrew out of Gaza and ceded all the territory to the Palestinians. Israel not only took and fought, by the way, the IDF for the first time went into combat with Jews living in Gaza, literally dragging them out and putting them into buses and building refugee centers for them in Israel, where they lived in tents. Israel dug out all bones of dead Jews in Gaza because they wanted to make sure that when they turn over Gaza to the Palestinians in 2005, that the Palestinians would truly be able to have their own leadership, their own representation, that they will be able to control their own future, make decisions that affect their own lives and the lives of their children. And so for 20 years, Israel completely took its hands off. But what Hamas built, the Palestinians ended up electing Hamas.
Yeah.
And Hamas continued straight control of the territory. And with all the billions of dollars that came into Gaza, instead of turning Gaza into Singapore, they invested the money in building it into a very strong terror infrastructure with tunnels underneath Gaza, bigger than the subway system in New York City. So Israel had no other option when attacked in 2003 than to retaliate. Israel does not want war. Israel wants peace. Today, if the Arab world lays their arms down, we will have peace in the Middle East. But today, if Israel lays its arms down, there will be no more Jews in the Middle East, and that's the problem.
All right, Bridget Gabriel, thank you very much for joining us here on News 18 with your thoughts and perspective. Thank you.
It's my honor. Thank you.
All right, talking about geopolitical schisms and geopolitical shifts that are happening, this year's World Economic Forum, which is the primary talk shop in the world, is happening in Davos at a time of Trump tariffs and, of course, the Trump threats of annexing Greenland. This is a huge challenge to Europe, in particular after the invasion of Ukraine by Vladimir Putin nearly 4 years ago. This is arguably the single biggest challenge for Europe going forward. Europe is now finally waking up to the fact that they have to deal with not one but two imperial czars, one in the Kremlin, the other in the White House. In this backdrop, our Network 18 editors Shireen Bhan and Chandra Ranganathan caught up with some of the most influential geopolitical voices at a time of great geopolitical flux and in the world's biggest and most influential talk shop, which is the World Economic Forum in Davos.
As I've been pointing out, this really is a Trump Davos. What is President Trump going to say? What is he going to do? What is the European response going to be? To answer all of those questions, I have with me a man who did predict, as part of his global risk, the fact that we are going to see a US political revolution as the #1 risk, and of course the Don Roe doctrine as another key risk that the global economy was faced with, and what happens to Europe. Ian Bremmer, thanks very much for joining us here on CNBC TV. It's great to have you back. Well, all of those risks even more amplified today.
Yeah, it is that way, and the United States is driving global uncertainty today. It's not conflict in the Middle East. It's not what Xi Jinping is up to. It's what's happening in the White House domestically in the U.S. in a political system that's much more divided and dysfunctional. and internationally in a global system where the United States is ripping up the old rules, whether it's collective security or free trade or rule of law, all the things that the Europeans really need, all the things the Europeans rely on. And now today, this week, they feel like they can't get them from the United States.
Is it the end of NATO?
If Trump persists in requiring control of Greenland, it is the end of NATO, if he does that.
He's doubling down on it.
It's
so
very
far.
unpopular in the United States. It's unnecessary for U.S. national security. The Danes are a very close ally, or have been, and they're willing to provide whatever national security access the Americans need. But Trump has decided that's not what he wants. What he wants is his name on the territory. And look, historically, he has been very successful putting his brand on many things, on TV shows, on buildings, on the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., but on foreign territory is not one of them. And Denmark and their European allies strongly oppose this, and Trump's going to have to back down. If he doesn't back down, he's going to have a big fight in his hands, and he's going to have the end of the transatlantic alliance.
The end of the transatlantic alliance. Today was the end of 2 days of rigorous questioning of actor-turned-politician Vijay. He was questioned today for the second time by the CBI for over 6 hours on the Karur stampede case. The actor, who reached Delhi Sunday, arrived at the CBI headquarters early this morning at about 10 o'clock, and he left a little after 5 p.m. Vijay was reportedly questioned by a deputy superintendent rank officer from the central agency's anti-corruption wing. As many as 41 people died in the tragic stampede during his rally in Karur in September last year. Over 50 people, including women and children, suffered serious injuries in that incident. Though a special investigation team of the Tamil Nadu police initially probed the case, the CBI took over the investigation following the directions of the Supreme Court. CBI sources have confirmed to CNN News 18 that no clean sheet has been given to anyone, including to Vijay at this stage, and that evidence is being scrutinized to see if a charge of negligence can be made out against the organizers and whether that will stick in a court of law. Now, here's what the CBI asked Vijay. First, the delay. Why did it take 7 full hours for Vijay to reach the venue? A delay of this magnitude is not logistical, it is critical, particularly when crowd numbers are already swelling. Second, the route that he took. Vijay cited bottlenecks on the route, but what exactly were these bottlenecks? Was it traffic? Was it security checks? Was it changes to the route? And if they were known, why were these contingencies not activated? Number 3, why did Vijay fail to give clear answers to the CBI on the delay on his arrival? Investigators say that the explanations were incomplete, and that raises questions about accountability. Fourth, the missing device. Where is the police-issued communication device that was assigned for real-time coordination? Was it switched off? Was it misplaced? Or was it deliberately not used? And fifth, crowd warnings. Multiple warnings about dangerous crowds were being issued by the police. Were these alerts deliberately ignored? These are the questions that have been asked to Vijay. He's given them some answers. Whether or not the CBI is convinced, now we're given to understand that they may not call him for further questioning. It seems like this will be the last round of questioning. At least that's what Vijay's party people feel.
More than 13 hours of questioning over 2 days, and Vijay has finally left CBI after day 2. Central Bureau of Investigation on day 2, as per sources, asked pinpointed questions of Vijay, asking him about the delay in reaching the stampede site. 7 hours delay, which according to the local police and local administration worsened the situation as far as crowd control is concerned. Vijay was also confronted, sources say, with the evidence that the local police had given to CBI. Now, on day 1, when Vijay was questioned, at the same time, 2 senior police officials from Tamil Nadu, then ADG of Karur and then IG, were also in the CBI headquarters giving their version of the events. Sources say that today Vijay was confronted with all that video evidence which shows that the crowd was waiting, that the crowd was getting restless even as Vijay was addressing the crowd. He cut short his speech. So the allegation against him is that he was aware of the situation and therefore he cut his speech short and he moved away. He's also been asked to explain that it usually takes about 2 hours to move from Trichy, where his last public meeting was, to Karur. Usually this is a 2-hour journey. Why did it take him 7 hours? The allegation by the local police is that he had stopped for 2 hours in between not taking into account that the crowd was waiting, getting restless, getting dehydrated because of the weather condition. A party, the organizers were responsible for these deaths. There was no hand of God.
I don't know, they are threatening Vijay, that is well known. They have not given censor certificate to Jananayagan. They are unnecessarily delaying it. They want Vijay to come to their side. Yeah, they have already, the talk is that BJP is like a washing machine.
Now DMK shedding crocodile tears on Vijay's appearance in front of CBI is nothing but a big mockery. It is indeed DMK which had the evil plan and design to fabricate a false case. So now let's the truth come out, because justice for all 41 has to be delivered, has to be given. The conspiracy theory and allegation which is there, which is going on rounds for a long period of time, we hope that CBI will be able to give a clarity.
Well, Karur is not the only story of criminal negligence. There's been another one, a tragedy that could have been easily avoided. A 27-year-old techie, Yuvraj Mehta, died when his car fell into a water-filled under-construction pit in Noida, in Sector 150, which is on the outskirts of Noida. The postmortem report confirms that he died of suffocation followed by a cardiac arrest. Police have booked the builder for negligence, while the residents say the pit had been left open for years. There was no barricades, there was no lights, there was no warning signs, nothing whatsoever. And after the outrage and public calls for accountability, the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh has ordered the formation of an SIT formed by the Commissioner of Meerut Police to investigate the tragic death. The SIT will submit its report in 5 days to the Chief Minister's office, but heads are already beginning to roll. CNN News 18's coverage has woken up the state authorities, and the Noida CEO, Lokesh M, has been removed from his post. The question, though, is the removal of the Chief Executive Officer of the Noida Authority enough? Because what happened did not come without warning. The paper trail on this tell a story of not sudden failure, but repeated neglect. September 2nd, a formal letter is sent to the Noida Authority by the Gautam Budh Nagar Member of Parliament. The concerns are flagged. It was ignored 3 months later. On the 19th of December, a complaint is lodged. On this, there is a Jan Sunwai Samvad portal, the state's official grievance redressal mechanism. Once again, that official complaint is ignored. Then on the 22nd of December, another complaint was filed on that very same portal. The warning is repeated, but the outcome remains the same. The complaint is ignored. And on the 1st of January comes another complaint, no action. 12 days later, a direct letter goes to the CEO of the Noida Authority. It was sent by BJP MLA Tejpal Singh Nagar. Then a final escalation that goes unnoticed. 5 warnings in 4 months, one even by the elected representative of the area, and not one that documented corrective action.
In a big CNN News 18 impact, big breakthrough has come. Days after the death of 27-year-old Yuvraj Mehta has shocked the nation. Under the guidance of Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, in a big CNN News 18 impact, an SIT has been formed. Under the guidance of the Divisional Commissioner of Meerut and ADG Meerut as well, where a chief engineer of the PWD will also be a part overlooking the findings of the SIT. The special investigation team is also going to submit a report in 5 days of time. The special investigation team is also going to look and explore all the angles of who needs to be taken in consideration for the accountability of the death of 27-year-old Yuvraj Mehta, who died on the spot hours after the rescue operation failed to save the young life who was coming back to his home from Gurugram. In another, in fact, big breakthrough, the Noida Authority CEO, Lokesh M, has also been removed from his post in the big CNN News 18 impact, where the impact of the developments and the reportage has given out this big breakthrough. After days, the death of Yuvraj Mehta has created an uproar over the lack of the safety measures and the security measures being put in Noida's 150 sector.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Actor turned politician and TVK chief Vijay has left the CBI headquarters in the national capital after 7 hours of questioning. Remember, this was his round 2 of questioning in the Karur stampede case. This questioning pertains to the stampede tragedy that claimed 41 lives in Karur in Tamil Nadu during one of his election rallies. Several questions were put forth by CBI sleuths to Vijay, including the 7-hour delay of him reaching the venue. TVK and Vijay had claimed that there were bottlenecks that were put in place by the state government, which is why he arrived late. That's something that he was confronted with. Video evidence from that day is also something that the CBI sleuths confronted Vijay with. 7 hours of questioning this time around. Round 1 was over 6.5 hours. It is a complete marathon questioning that the CBI has been putting Vijay through. Arunima, my colleague, now joins us. She's been tracking the developments from outside the CBI headquarters all this morning. For now, the questioning is over. Round 2. Is there going to be a round 3, Arunima?
So his team claims that Vijay has not been summoned for tomorrow. We have not heard from the CBI on this as yet. The indications are that after going through the evidence, all that Vijay has said today, the investigating officer is going to examine and then take a call about the next course of action. Now, the party General Secretary, Joint General Secretary Nirmal Kumar just briefed the media and